Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Monday, May the 17th, 2021. Today's show, my oh my, how sweet it is. Gamecocks baseball goes on the road to Lexington, Kentucky, and takes all three games, the Kentucky Wildcats, by scores of 12-6, 9-0, and 11-6. Guys, I'll break down the series sweep in its entirety. We're talking key takeaways, TSUS Series MVP, Slapdick of the Weekend, who's hot, who's not, and what's next for South Carolina baseball as the Gamecocks come into the final week of the 2021 baseball season. Also, guys, we got news and notes to get into, your listener questions, and a fantastic conversation, a fantastic interview, one of the all-time interviews here on these airwaves. Brad Lawing, former South Carolina defensive line coach, two separate stints, I might add, from 1989 to 1998 and 2006 to 2012. Guys, he coached some of the best defensive linemen on some of the best teams in school history. Coach Lawing sat with me in studio for a great interview. Also, a special guest appearance at the end of the interview that you're going to want to be sure to stay tuned for. But again, a great conversation and a great show here on Monday, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy. It is all brought to you by our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. Guys, Upstate Movers Group, superior moving service. They bring care and attention other companies can't offer because they're just too busy maintaining trucks and profiting off of them instead of focusing on service. Guys, service is what separates Upstate Movers Group from the competition. They're not a trucking company. They're a moving services company, and they're also employee-owned co-op. Their movers are paid twice the industry average, and everyone on the crew is invested in your success. They have dedicated professional crew members, and they also offer black glove service. They offer end-to-end packing services, custom crating and packaging for special items, and cleaning services as well. They're founded by Greenville natives and University of South Carolina alumni, guys, so a Gamecock-owned small business. They also offer 20 years of project management moving experience, and they can offer logistics and solutions that traditional moving companies simply do not have the skills for. Guys, whether in the upstate or across the state of South Carolina, if you have any moving needs in 2021, be sure to check out our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. You can find them on social media at Upstate Movers Group. Or of course, if you have any other questions, go to their website, upstatemoversgroup.com. That's upstatemoversgroup.com. Be sure to check them out and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Let's get it. How quickly things can change. In one moment, you're losers of 3 straight SEC series. You're losing a midweek game to your arch rival. You're not executing in situational and 2-out hitting. You're not swinging the bats the way you should be. Things are not going your way, and your own fan base is starting to have doubts about your postseason future and the outlook overall of your season. How quickly things can change when you go on the road in conference play and take care of freaking business. Folks, happy Monday. Hope you're all doing well. I'm Chris Phillips, host of the Spurs Up Show. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. And we have got a good one here for you on a Monday, because I'll tell you what, guys, it has been a while since we've all woken up on a Monday and gotten to talk about South Carolina, not just winning an SEC series, but sweeping, and not just sweeping, but going on the road and doing so. It feels good. Feels good to chat with you all, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. First things first, I want to say this, guys, because I don't know if y'all realize this or noticed this in the moment. I did as soon as we wrapped up on Sunday afternoon, but not sure what's going to happen in regards to, postseason play, Hoover, what my plans are in regards. Am I going to go? Are we going to watch them from the studio? Am I going to go on the road if it takes us there for the postseason? Whatever it may be. But in regards to the regular season, this past weekend was actually the last weekend of the live stream watch-alongs that we've been doing all baseball season long, of course, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, having you guys tune in with me. Yours truly, giving yourself my live in-game commentary and all that good stuff. So again, I want to say to you guys, because like I said, we may do more of those in regards to the postseason. I feel pretty confident that there will be more. But of course, with this week, with 4 home games, I'll be at all 4. The final live stream watch-alongs of the regular season concluded of the week. And I just want to take a second, guys, to say thank you all so much, because I'll be honest with you, I was kind of on the fence about those. I know I had some people suggest them and stuff like that, and we started doing them this baseball season. I want to thank you guys so much, because without your love and support and honestly encouragement to do it, I'm not sure that's something I would have pulled the trigger on myself or really even thought of to do. So I want to say thank you to you guys for the love and support, man. You guys made it a huge success. It's been a blast. Honestly, it's like, you know what? If I'm going to be here sitting here watching the games, I might as well watch the games with my audience and us conversate and go back and forth and talk and answer questions and react together and celebrate and mourn when we lose and all that good stuff. But again, thank you guys so much for making that such a success. It's been awesome. It's been fun. It's been a blast to do. And like I said, I feel like we're probably going to have more as we go along here. Who knows, though? Like I said, we know for sure for the regular season, the live stream watch-alongs have concluded. But again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for making that such a huge success. Thank you for all the love and support in regards to the business, the content, showing love to the content, sharing the content, business. Everything is rolling right now. Positive momentum is rolling, guys, and I can't thank you enough. And let's, without further ado, talk about positive momentum and the Gamecocks baseball team picking up positive momentum over the weekend as South Carolina goes on the road to Lexington, Kentucky, and gets the series sweep of the Cats in Lexington for the first time, guys, by the way, since 2002. You know, a lot of people coming in this series were a little nervous, a little anxious, saying, Chris, we've never played well in Lexington. It's kind of funny. It's not just a Carolina baseball thing. It is a South Carolina sports thing. I've talked a lot about South Carolina, Kentucky football in regards to when the Gamecocks have to go to Lexington. If you look back at the past, even our best teams have struggled mightily in Lexington. Even in victory, we've struggled in Lexington. And that goes the same way with our baseball team as well. I mean, 2002 was the last time we swept them at their place. So again, it feels great to get the sweep 12-6 on Friday, 9-0 on Saturday, and then 11-6 on Sunday yesterday afternoon. Guys, jumping into key takeaways, and there are a lot of different directions that I could go here to start out with, but the first one is this: hitting. Let's talk hitting, because that's the number one thing with this team we all want to talk about, and the adjustment that was made at the plate. And I harped on it, and it was, I know a lot of you are saying, Chris, you should be an assistant coach. No, I don't think necessarily they were listening to me, but we certainly did harp on it in regards to productivity over power. You know, power's great. We love power. We love hitting the home run. And we saw it this past week. And hey, Andrew Eister, you know, his grand slam changed the complexion of that game on Saturday. And that's what the home run can do for you, right? It is a positive. And it is a strength of a ball club. It's a strength of this Gamecocks ball club that you have a bunch of guys in your lineup that can change the outlook of a game with just one swing. I mean, in one swing, you can go from losing to winning just like that. That's how powerful that home run is. We saw it from Braylon Wimmer. We saw it from Eister. But we had not seen enough of the South Carolina lineup in regards to productivity, productive at bats, situational hitting. You know, we saw at Clemson last week in the midweek, leaving guys on, stranding runners, you know, 2-out hitting, guys on second and third, less than 2 outs. What do you do? I talked about all this last week. And kudos, a congratulations, a round of applause to Mark Kingston, Stuart Lake, that entire offensive staff and that staff as a whole for South Carolina for really hammering that home, I feel like, and the adjustment being made. Now, I want to say this too, though. I will say this. And I bit my tongue on this all weekend long because I did not want to be the jinx, if you will, that spoke on it too soon, that put my tongue on our ball club, and then something happened that we did not want to happen in regards to results in these ball games. But a lot of you asked me, Chris, like, what's going on? Like, what happened? Because this weekend you score 32 runs in 3 games. 32 runs. 12, 9, and 11. I mean, you will take that any weekend, especially in SEC play, especially on the road. And I think it's a couple things. Do I think there were wholesale changes in regards to our approach? No, I do not. I do not think there was just some all of a sudden, hey, we're not even going to try to hit home runs. We're just completely scrapping our approach, and we just want to be good situational hitters and two-out hitters. I don't think so. I don't think that's what happened. Now, do I think there was an emphasis on it? Absolutely, 110%. You could hear Mark Kingston, because the microphones, by the way, were very, very hot in Lexington. I don't know what was up with that, but the mics were hot. You could hear Mark Kingston saying, hey, drive the ball the other way, drive the baseball, saying certain things, certain cues, if you will, in certain situations that let me know, okay, if nothing else, it is a point of emphasis for them. Not that it wasn't before, but even more so was a point of emphasis, because again, that was the area you were falling short in. You just simply were not getting the knocks you needed. We could not buy a timely knock coming into this series against Kentucky. And that's all you did all weekend against the Cats. I mean, the two-out hitting was phenomenal. Situationally, when you had guys on second and third, you had bases loaded, you were hitting sac flies, you were hitting ground balls to score runs. I mean, and then every now and then, hey, you were running into a ball like Andrew Eister did. You hit a grand slam, or you'd hit one in the gap, or you hit one down the line. But overall, the approaches looked much, much better. And certainly, I think there was an emphasis on that part of the game. There's absolutely no question. I will say this too, though, and like I said, this is the one thing I did not say in regards to the offensive approach that people kept asking me, Chris, why does it look so much different? Like, what is the difference between this team and the team we saw the last 3 weekends, if you will? And this is taking nothing away from our guys. Our guys executed it exactly what they were supposed to do. Hey, you go on the road and sweep any team in the SEC, you had a great weekend. Hey, look at that's one thing I want to say too, by the way, because I know some fans on social media, and if you're being this way, if you're being negative after a series sweep just to be negative, you're just miserable. I don't know what to tell you. But if you look at the SEC landscape, guys, look at this past weekend. I mean, Missouri went on the road and took 2 or 3 from Mississippi State. That's just the kind of league this is. Florida lost game 1 to Kentucky. They didn't sweep them. So what you did as a Carolina Ball Club, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment to go on the road, get the sweep, much needed sweep. You absolutely had to have it. Now you sit 15-12 in SEC play. So again, it's taking nothing from our guys. But yes, there was an adjustment made. Yes, there was more of an emphasis on two-out hitting and situational hitting and all those things we talked about. But also, guys, let's just face it, we were finally facing a pitching staff that wasn't Arkansas. It wasn't Mississippi State. It wasn't Ole Miss. It wasn't Vanderbilt. I know you guys get tired or got tired of hearing me say, oh, tip your cap, tip your cap, tip your cap. And at some point, hey, you're right. You got to stop tipping your cap. They got to tip their cap to you. I totally understand that. But it looked like to me, this lineup was just finally able to catch its breath. Like, okay, we're not facing the most dominant pitcher in the league. We're not facing a Cops. We're not facing Landon Sims. We're not facing this first rounder, that first rounder. And, South Carolina, credit to them. Again, like I said, it's taking nothing away, but you were able to take advantage and you were able to take care of your business. Again, you cannot say it enough how big it is to not just win the series, but to get this series sweep as well. On the mound, again, you did more than enough. Obviously, I know a lot of us would love for less sloppiness in regards to the back end. The bullpen, I know at times was sloppy, and it definitely led to the pace of play suffering immensely at the end of the first and third game. The pace of play suffered immensely at the beginning of the end of the first and the third games, if I can just spit it out, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. But overall, I thought all 3 of your starters gave you solid outings. And, of course, Brett Carey standing out from amongst those. Brett Carey, man, I mean, what more can you say that hasn't already been said? I mean, the dude was absolutely phenomenal. He was incredible. He was electric. He made it look so easy, because Brett Carey, here's the thing with Brett Carey. He doesn't have overpowering stuff. He's not out there throwing 96, 97 miles an hour. I mean, his stuff, I would say, is not as good as Thomas Farr's. It's not. His stuff's not as good as Will Sanders. But what Brett Carey does, guys, he just pitches. And he knows what he has. He's comfortable with his arsenal, and he just uses it. And you saw a guy on Saturday locate. He was locating up. He was locating down, in and out. Felt good with every pitch. Could throw him for strikes. Could throw it outside of the zone when he wanted. Change the eye levels, mix the speeds. And when you do that, you're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of success. And again, it certainly was for Brett Carey on Saturday. A complete game shutout. The first complete game shutout, by the way, since Will Crow in the 2014 regionals. It had been that long. And he did it in just 94 pitches. You simply cannot say enough about what Brett Carey did for you. Hey, I also want to say congratulations. Congratulations to Gamecocks right-handed pitcher Thomas Farr getting his first career SEC win. So happy for him, man. I'm so happy for him. A long time coming, obviously, and was a statistic that, we got really – I know I got tired of hearing about. I got tired of hearing about, Thomas Farr didn't have an SEC win, and a guy that, we all agree, I think, has pitched well enough in multiple SEC games, a lot of them, to get that first SEC win. And I'm sure he felt very relieved to finally get some run support also behind him. But, he pitched well again. Brandon Jordan, I thought, did his thing. Yes, the back end of the bullpen was a little bit shaky, but I don't necessarily worry about that, guys. I mean, when a game gets out of hand and you're asking your relievers to come in, do whatever, Julian Bosnick, Andy Peters, even Danny Loy, is the focus quite as sharp? Is the focus quite where it would normally be if you're pitching against the Mississippi State and it's 1-0 or 1-1 or whatever it may be? So I don't worry about those guys. We've seen what Bosnick's going to do. We've seen what Peters is going to do. I have no concerns in regards to the South Carolina bullpen. But just a complete weekend, a complete team weekend. You did everything from the plate, from the mound, in the field. And I also want to give a quick shout out and give kudos, much deserved kudos, I would say, and recognition to Gamecocks head coach Mark Kingston, because I kind of challenged Coach Kingston, if you will. And not that, he's reading my predictions or he's reading my key player of the weekend, but I talked about that. This was a very, very, very big weekend for Mark Kingston. And that, it was one that, let's face it, the fan base, I think, is mostly still supportive of Mark Kingston. I really do. I think it's the few here and there on Twitter or on social media that, fire Kingston. It's the few that it will never be good enough unless we get to Omaha and win the entire thing. And even then, I think they'd find a way to complain. Guys, expecting your team to get to Omaha every single year, you're going to drive yourself batty. You're going to drive yourself crazy. And here's the thing, guys, I'll say this. If you're tuned into this and you're not sold in on Mark, or you're not sold on Mark Kingston, you're not sold on him yet as Gamecock skipper, I have no issues with that. If you want to be critical of Coach Kingston and a lot of his calls, I have no issues with that. Listen, I'm not a Mark Kingston stan necessarily. I'm certainly not a fire Mark Kingston guy, and I'm still a Kingston guy, as I've said many times, because I have no reason not to be. But if you want to be critical of Mark Kingston and his decision-making and things he's done, and his philosophies, the analytical side, by all means, you have every right, go right ahead. But for the love of God, all I ask is, if you're going to be critical, if you're going to throw insults and throw jabs every time South Carolina strikes out, loses a game, gives up a homer, whatever, anytime a negative thing happens, if you're going to be that person, then at least be able to give credit the other way when credit is due. Because Mark Kingston, I thought, that entire coaching staff, they had a really good weekend. I thought South Carolina outcoached Kentucky for the most part. Some really, really good decisions by Mark Kingston. Hey, rolling with Brennan Malone, sticking him out there at third, which you hope he's okay, because I know he went with the hammy late in the game on Sunday, but sticking Brennan Malone out there. The decision-making within the pitching staff. Hey, Sunday, perfect example. Josiah Seitler, 3-0 count, gets a green light. Guess what he does next pitch? Hits a bomb. The job that Mark Kingston and Stuart Lake did to get this group of hitters ready to go and to make the adjustment. I talked about all week how important that was and how big that was. And they did it. They answered the bell. They answered the call. It was a series you knew that, hey, winning 2 of 3 is not enough. After you got swept at Ole Miss, winning 2 of 3 wasn't enough here. You had to sweep. You had to get to that 15-win number this weekend, with Tennessee looming this upcoming week. So like I said, if you want to be critical of Mark Kingston, be my guest. Hey, he makes a lot of money to coach baseball. He deserves it, right? He should be able to handle the criticism. No doubt. Him, Skylar Meade, Stuart Lake, all of them. They get coached a lot, or they get paid a lot of money to coach baseball. And just like, Shane Beamer, just like Frank Martin, any of those coaches, any coach in college, period, that's at that level, it comes with the job, right? You're going to have criticism, and it's fair. Heck, I'm going to be critical, guys, when things don't go well. I'm going to be critical when there's things I don't agree with. You guys know that already. You know the drill. You guys know I will be the first person to jump down somebody's throat if I feel like they're messing up. But I'm also going to be one of the first ones, if not the first one, to applaud a good job when it's deserved. And I think Mark Kingston and this entire staff, deserve that applause of a good job. And again, you can say it was Kentucky, you can say this, but anytime you go on the road, and this was a big one for Kentucky too, guys. This was a huge series for Kentucky. They came into this one, 11-12? Excuse me, they came in, what was their SEC record? They were a game behind you, right? They were a game, let me check. Let me just double check. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah. 11-13, excuse me. I messed that up. They came in 11-13, and you were 12-12. Both teams needed this one bad. Needed it bad. And you went in and took care of your business. You did your job. And now you find yourself 15-12 heading into the last week of the regular season, which I'll tell you guys, I'm shedding a single tear because I can't believe it's almost over. I can't believe it. I cannot believe the regular season is damn near over. But 15-12, heading into this last SEC weekend against the Tennessee Volunteers, who we all saw what they did over the weekend, a fantastic series, losing 2 of 3 against the number 1 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. And of course, guys, I will break down that series in its entirety on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. But with that being said, you took care of your business. And like I said, Gamecock fans, you want to be critical of Mark Kingston and the staff, fine, but applaud a good job when it's deserved. And I think that staff deserves the accolades and the recognition for getting this team ready to play. Hey, there was plenty of reason to not play well this weekend. You had lost 3 straight SEC series, coming off of a loss in the midweek against your arch rival. Your fan base is bitching and moaning. People are thinking, oh, you're done. This team's done. They're crumbling down the finish. Nope. Go out there, take care of your business. From the jump, by the way, jumping on this Kentucky team early. 4 runs in the first on Friday, a run in the first on Saturday. You jump out early on Sunday. It felt like the series was never in doubt from start to finish. Never in doubt from start to finish. So great job by really this entire team, man, to make the adjustment, to battle the adversity. Like I said, this team has seemed to all season love its back against the wall. I don't know what it is. I know this team has great character, great resiliency, toughness, battle, win anyway, all of those different things we talk about. But hey, that's the situation you were in. You came into a series, backs against the wall, had to win this series, had to at minimum take 2 out of 3, but you really needed the sweep, and you get the job done. And again, in all facets, and now talking about positive momentum, getting hot at the right time. We talked coming into this past weekend. The number one question that I had with this team, and still have, because it's just 3 games. Now you got this week upcoming. You got to do the job yet again this week. But the question that I had and still have, but we started to see the answer of hopefully this past weekend was, I still really like this lineup. I still really, really like this pitching staff. I still like this coaching staff. I still like this team in the field. I like this team top to bottom. But does this team have one more run left in it? Does this team have one more hot stretch left in it? Because I feel like this season has been, you got really, really hot, then you lost a few. Then you got really, really hot again, then you lost a few. Could this be the start of another hot streak, a hot run, a hot stretch for this Carolina Ball Club? Going to be very interesting to see. All right, guys, let's move to TSUS Series MVP. Now, this is one that's going to be very, very highly debated and very much so probably talked about across social media circles, and I'm ready for it. Hey, I am ready for you guys to let me have it. Because after Saturday, I said, no doubt, Brett Carey. Complete game, shutout, he's got to have it. And Brett Carey was actually my player of the series, was my TSUS Series MVP for last weekend series against Mississippi State. And I normally try to not give it to the same player back-to-back weeks. I'm like, hey, let's spread the love, right? I want to spread the love to all of our guys. But I thought after Saturday, like, man, I mean, it's going to take somebody just going off to steal that award away from Brett Carey. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I went back and forth, and I thought about it some more. And I'll tell you guys, as much as I want to give it to Brett Carey, and his performance was incredible. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. A huge game, a huge win to clinch the series on Saturday. But when you're talking about a series MVP and a guy that I believe and know, I mean, the stats tell you, a guy that truly impacted all 3 games that he played in a very, very big way, my TSUS Series MVP goes not to Brett Carey, but a Gamecocks hitter, and that Gamecocks hitter being outfielder Andrew Eister. Guys, Eister was on fire all weekend long. Get these numbers. He went 8 for 12. He went 8 for freaking 12, guys. He hit 666 on the weekend. 667, let's call it that. I don't like the negative juju of 666. It's 667, right? I'm doing that right? Yeah, 2 for 3. Yeah. 667 on the weekend, 8 for 12. Had a home run. By the way, his home run was a grand slam in the Saturday game that really blew that thing open. He had 9 RBI in the 3-game series. Also drew 3 walks and had a stolen base and played a very solid right field, I might add, defensively. Nothing flashy, but played a solid right field. So with that being said, I know there's going to be a lot of debate. A lot of people saying, Chris, no way, it's got to be Brett Carey. I totally understand it. I think you have a valid argument. But when it comes to talking about the series MVP and the series as a whole, I just simply cannot ignore what Andrew Eister did. I cannot ignore what Andrew Eister did. And for that reason, he is the TSUS Series MVP again. 8 for 12, a home run, which was a grand slam, 9 RBI, 3 walks, and a stolen base. Incredible weekend from Andrew Eister. Hey, like I said, please flood the DMs, flood the comments, flood me on social media with all of your debating about Brett Carey. I'd love to go back and forth with you guys because, like I said, it's a very valid argument. I'm not going to lie. All right. It was tough to pick an MVP for this weekend, which is a very good thing because we had a lot of guys have big weekends. All right, let's move into Slapdick of the Weekend, guys. And this one, I know many of you are going to say, Chris, it's got to be the announcers. It has to be the announcers. Here's what kills me about people complaining about the SEC Network Plus announcers. I don't know if you guys know this, guys, but when we go on the road in the SEC, which I guess we won't do that again this year because the regular season, at least our road series, that was the last one, which, God, I mean, that makes me so sad. This season has just flown by. But anyways, a lot of you are going to say, Chris, it's got to be the announcers. Guys, I don't know if you realize when we go on the road and play these teams, it's their announcers. No kidding, they're pulling for Kentucky. No kidding, they're pulling for their own team. So, of course, they're going to sound like slapdicks to us. But undoubtedly, no question, it's not the announcers. The slapdick of the weekend for this weekend in Lexington wasn't a person, wasn't a player, wasn't a coach. The slapdick of the weekend was the pace of play. I mean, my God. Listen, I love the game of baseball, but nobody wants to watch a 4-hour game. And Friday and Sunday alike, I don't know what happened. Games moving along pretty swiftly, going through the first 5 or 6 innings. Bro, we get to the 6th, 7th, 8th. Jesus Christ. The walks, the freaking hits, the run. I mean, it's great. I love to see us scoring. But my God, just taking forever, these 4.5 hour games. Nobody wants to see that. And how do you speed it up? Listen, the pitching was not great this week, and especially on the Kentucky side. So I think that was really the reason for the pace of play issues, if you will. But, I don't know, man. That pace of play thing, that was brutal. I know that was something as we were sitting there in the live stream watch along, we're just looking at each other like, dude, come on. I made the joke, hey, at the top of the 9th, let's just bunt 3 times so we can get back out there and get the final 3 outs. Like, who cares? Who cares? You know what I mean? Just get the final 3 outs and be done with it. All right, let's move into who's hot, who's not, guys. And don't worry. I'm giving Brett Carey his just due because who's hot? it's got to be Brett Carey. I mean, what he did against Mississippi State last weekend. And then this weekend, oh, no big deal. Just tops the shit out of that. Complete game shutout, 4 hits, no runs, no earned, no walks, 10 strikeouts. And again, what was so crazy? You know what's even crazier, guys, now that I think about it? What's crazy is he had 94 pitches. He did it in 94 pitches. What's crazier? He had 10 strikeouts and did it in 94 pitches. Only 7 hitters saw a 2-ball count against Brett Carey. I mean, what more can you say? Again, what more can I say that has not already been said? I mean, it's just incredible. It's insane. It's amazing. It's what an outing. And, you know, I think that was something else. By the way, I completely forgot. Talking about Mark Kingston and talking about Skylar Mean, talking about the coaching staff. How about the move by this coaching staff to put Brett Carey out there in the first place in the starting rotation? What a call that was. What a move. That didn't pay off major dividends or anything. So Brett Carey, giving you all you could ask for and more. I mean, he was the story of the Saturday game and, you know, arguably the story of the series, like I said. Now you move into this week and this weekend and you're like, man, you know, I made the joke on Saturday, which I thought a lot of people would understand it was a joke. Hey, you think Brett Carey earned another start? You know, I don't know. I mean, dude, without a doubt. He is, you know, one of your best 2 or 3 arms right now. I know a lot of you would argue he's your best arm right now. Without a doubt, he will stay in the rotation. I don't know if he'll start game 1, 2, or 3. I have no idea. But what Brett Carey did, incredible. I mean, just a dude who went out there, attacked the zone, pitch, mixed speeds, located. And like I said, when you do that, really, really good things happen. Who's not? All right, we got to pick a who's not. I'm going with George Khalil. Went 2 for 11 with 4 strikeouts on the weekend. Nothing against Georgie. You know, whatever. He had a solid weekend. It is what it is, but we got to pick somebody. So who's not? George Khalil, 2 for 11 with 4 strikeouts. What's next for South Carolina baseball? Big week this week, guys. And, of course, an adjustment to the podcast schedule just because the Thursday through Saturday series this week. And, of course, first things first, those tomorrow, the last midweek game of the 2021 college baseball season or South Carolina baseball season, if you want. Guys, I know many of you look past the midweek games and, you know, whatever, it's the midweek, who cares? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm kind of sad. I am. Coming in the last week of the regular season, we've got the midweek game tomorrow against Appalachian State at Founders Park. And then, like I said, Thursday through Saturday, which if you're asking, everyone in SEC play will be Thursday through Saturday this weekend because of the SEC tournament starting in Hoover next week. So everyone's playing Thursday through Saturday this upcoming week. But again, tomorrow against App State, Thursday through Saturday against the Tennessee Vols, which again will be a huge, huge series for South Carolina. Of course, Tennessee probably going to remain in the top 5 after losing 2 or 3 to Arkansas. Both of their losses, I think all 3 of the games were 1-run games. So Tennessee's legit. They're for real. They're one of the best ball clubs in the entire country. They might be a legitimate Omaha ball club. So that will be a huge weekend for you. But hey, you got to love the position you're in right now. Coming in 15-12 in SEC play, like I said. And like I told you guys last week, I picked this team to finish 16-14 in SEC play. So I think the people that are upset right now, which I don't want to focus on them because there's not many, but you guys see it too. But for the people that are still kind of on the fence about this season or that are upset, you know, if you came into this season, I think expecting to win 18, 19, 20 SEC games, I think you just set bad expectations coming in. I really do. So 15-12 coming in, you got a big opportunity at home this week. And I know Tennessee, one of the top ball clubs in the country, but hey, on your home field, man, on your home field. And you got positive momentum. You can keep that going tomorrow night against App State. Who knows? Maybe you can hit that 17-13 mark, but I think if you get to 16-14 or better, which should be very doable again at home, I think you lock up a hosting spot in regards to your postseason future and your postseason dreams. And, you know, this is crunch time. Where's everybody going, right? I think you get to 16-14, definitely 17-13. You lock up that hosting bid, which is all what we all want to see for Gamecocks baseball. All right, let's move into, with that being said, guys, let's move into news and notes because the first thing on the docket, Founders Park. This happened on Friday, of course, but I want to mention it. Founders Park picked as one of the 20 host sites in regards to postseason play, regional play, if you will. And, of course, Selection Sunday I think it's Selection Monday actually, will be Monday, May the 31st, after the SEC tournament has concluded. So they will trim it from 20 sites to 16. So the fact you made the top 20 is a very, very good sign. Now, like I said, if you can get to 16 and 14 or better, and let's say win a game or two in Hoover, I don't even know if you got to do that. If you get to 17 and 13, I don't think you got to win a single game in Hoover. You go to 16 and 14, you probably want to win at least one. But either way, getting that series sweep, that's why it was so big to get that series sweep of Kentucky, because you feel like you're in pretty good shape now to be picked on that Monday, May 31st, Selection Monday, as one of the 16 host sites. But again, Founders Park, as of right now, is one of the top 20. The first piece of the puzzle is complete. Now we wait. Now we'll see. Another quick note, guys. Gamecocks football picking up a commitment. Shane Beamer, 2022 three-star defensive back Kawan Banks. And this one, guys, if you remember last weekend, the welcome home tweet that Shane Beamer put out, this was that tweet. We're all kind of waiting, seeing, okay, when's this kid going to commit? Who is it? Whatever. Three-star defensive back Kawan Banks out of the state of Florida. And, hey, I like the pickup overall. I mean, listen, defensive back we know is a position of need. Torian Gray building out that defensive back room. And from everything I've seen and read, I'll be honest, I have not done some deep dive on the kid or anything like that. But everything I've seen, read, heard, whatever, seems like a pretty solid pickup for Shane Beamer and company. They continue to build momentum on the 2022 recruiting trail. So overall, guys, and I'll say this too about recruiting really quickly, because people are asking Chris, like, what's the deal with recruiting? How do we look in recruiting? It's going to get really, really crazy and hectic and really fun, I guess you could say. But things are really going to pick up as we get into summer with the lift on, excuse me, guys, sorry, the lift on the recruiting stuff in regards to we can have on-site, on-campus visits again. You can get people, on campus, in the building, in the ops building, in the stadium, all that good stuff in your facilities. And that's going to start in June. So I think definitely recruiting for all schools probably is going to pick up a lot. You're going to see commitments start to roll in for this 2022 recruiting class as Shane Beamer continues to build that out. All right, let's dive into your listener questions, guys, and then we'll get into our interview. First things first, Brennan_Smith47 says, good things happen when you win game one. Hey, Brennan, no truer words have been spoken here on this Monday. You are correct, sir. Final question here. We only had two. Austin G_45. Is it fair to temper excitement over bats because of playing Kentucky? And I'm glad you asked this one. Austin G_45. I'm glad you asked this one. Because like I said, do not take anything away from our guys. Don't take anything away. You went on the road, you took care of business, and you spanked Kentucky. You didn't just barely beat them. You spanked them. You took care of business in all three games. Those games were, in my opinion, were never in doubt. Those games were never in doubt. And offensively, you made the adjustments, you executed, you did exactly what you had to do. With that being said, I think we can all acknowledge that, hey, you weren't facing Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, even Florida, right? I think you just finally saw this lineup against a team that's not ranked in the top 10. And that's not even trying to be that disrespectful of Kentucky, because Kentucky's still a quality SEC ball club. But I think it was a mixture of a couple of different things. But if you're just going to say, oh, it doesn't matter because we played a bad Kentucky team, well, I disagree with that. Because I don't care who you're playing in this conference, especially when you go on the road, you still got to do your job. You still got to execute. You still got to take care of your business. And you were able to do that. So that's, now let's see this team carried over to Tennessee. I totally agree with you. I don't disagree at all, right? If we played Arkansas tomorrow, I wouldn't expect us to go out there and score 12 runs. But I think the positive to take away, again, offensively at the plate, which is this team's biggest question, what fans should be taking away from it, and the positive to take away is, okay, if nothing else, and I think this will carry over into no matter who you play. We'll see it this weekend against Tennessee, I truly believe. If nothing else, there's more of an emphasis on it. I truly believe that. There's more of an emphasis on situational hitting. There's more of an emphasis on 2-out hitting, of clutch hitting. You know, I don't feel like we saw that quite as much before. Again, is there some wholesale change in the approach? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's just, they went, last week and just, we're going to scrap the entire approach. We're going to do this, this, and this now instead. No, I think it was simply, all right, guys, we know what we got to do. We know we've been lacking. Let's make it a point of emphasis to when we get a guy on third and 1 out, we are going to drive him in no matter what the hell we got to do. Hey, we get in this situation, we're doing this. This situation, we're doing that. 2 outs, we're locking in, laser focus, doing everything we can to get a base knock. So, and I think that's what you saw from this Carolina Ball Club. Now, let's see it carry over to tomorrow in the midweek, and let's see it carry over against Tennessee this weekend into the SEC tournament, and then beyond that in the postseason play. So, great stuff, guys. Great stuff here on a Monday. God, how sweet it is. It feels good to be talking to you guys. And by the way, one quick reminder, if you're listening to this in the morning, I may or may not have made a little bet with Heath Hagler. I want to shout out Heath Hagler, who tunes into the live stream watch-alongs. I may or may not have made a little bet with Heath Hagler in regards to the Daily Crow for Monday, for today. So I'll just say, and I won't say what it is, even though you guys have probably already seen it on social media, which I'll go ahead and say it. I got the blow-up pool for summer, guys, and it started to heat up in the city. Might be a change in location for the Daily Crow today. So if you're hearing this in the morning and maybe you're kind of on the fence or you don't know if you're going to tune in the Daily Crow, if nothing else, just give it a peek. You might be kind of interested to see where we're doing the Daily Crow from today to celebrate the sweep. But great stuff. Hey, great stuff there. Great weekend in Lexington. Now, guys, we have got a great conversation, great interview. He came in studio. Former Gamecocks defensive line coach Brad Lawing. And, guys, I feel like this is someone that needs no introduction. This man's done it all. 2 separate stints at South Carolina and coached the best defensive linemen, the best defensive lines to ever come through the University of South Carolina on some of, and I would say the best defenses to ever take the field in Columbia. And that is Brad Lawing, guys. Great conversation. It's all brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. Guys, breaking news. This important PSA is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Guys, this is your public service announcement and the news you've all been waiting for. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is now available for purchase in the USA and Canada. Guys, this new trimmer was just released only moments ago, and we are one of the first to get our hands on it and share the news. Guys, join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code TSUS at manscaped.com. Guys, I'm sure you saw on social media over the weekend, I posted it. Manscaped sent me their care package. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance, guys. The craftsmanship and details in the 4.0 are next level. Their advanced ceramic blade and skin-safe technology is so good that it almost seems as if Manscaped worked with Elon Musk's engineers to ensure your testes are as safe as possible. And guys, we've all been there, right? We've been there, done that. We've had a bad blade. We've had a bad manscaping experience. We cut ourselves. We nick ourselves. We're bleeding. It's burning. It ruins your whole vibe. It is a vibe killer. It is a certified vibe killer when that happens, guys. Leave that in the past. What makes this trimmer different from all the other trimmers, you might ask? A couple of things. A new multi-function on-off switch can engage a travel lock created for people who like to travel. Also, the Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all over through additional guard links with sizes 1 through 4. And looks-wise, guys, it's sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish. Even features a hot foil stamped black chrome Manscaped logo. Show that mower off loud and proud. Guys, the optimized Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof, so you can groom in the shower and not have to worry about making a mess on the bathroom floor. Guys, did I mention, by the way, get this. Technology's wild, man. Wireless charging for a freaking ball trimmer. It's nuts. Literally, it's nuts. The Lawnmower's 4.0 new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. And guys, if you're still trimming your face with your ball trimmer, safe to say it's time to make some changes. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code TSUS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code TSUS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth, guys. Your balls will thank you later. Our friends are at manscaped.com, promo code TSUS. Be sure to check them out, guys. Appreciate those guys at Manscaped. Appreciate you all for tuning in, guys. Have a great rest of your Monday and enjoy this conversation with former Gamecocks football coach Brad Lawing. All right, joining us on the show once again here in studio, friend of the show, a man that really needs no introduction, but we'll do it yet again in case you guys forgot again. He started his college coaching career at Appalachian State, coached at South Carolina from 1989 to 1998 in his first stint, Michigan State from 99 to 02, UNC from 2003 to 2005. Then, of course, he came back to join Steve Spurrier's staff in 2006 to 2012. Was at Florida 2013 to 14, then at FSU 2015 and 2017, his last stop, Georgia State in 2019. Now retired, of course, living in the local area, coached 7 NFL first-round draft picks, and again, of course, some of the greatest Gamecocks in school history on some of the best teams in school history. Very pleased to be joined, former Gamecocks defensive line coach Brad Lawing. Coach Lawing, it's great to have you in studio yet again, man. Like I said, the studio's changed a little bit. Things have changed. I know since the last time we spoke, you remember that was the week of kickoff, the first game of the 2020 season. So much has changed since you and I last spoke, for sure. But it's great to have you back in. I
enjoy the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start first, Brad. We'll go back to, your first 2 stints at South Carolina. I know we dove deep into that last time, but just talk about, I guess, the differences, because you think about it again, 89 to 98, and then you were there from 06 to 12. Boy, things were a lot different in those 2 stints, I feel like. The overall vibe of Carolina football, the facilities, the coaches, the athletes, you literally were there when you got the SEC hat on, you joined the conference. I mean, compare and contrast, I guess. Do you look back and you're like, you're more favorable to one or the other, the 2 stints, or I guess how were they different? How were they the same? And just reflect a little bit on your time in Columbia and those 2 runs.
The first time we were here, we didn't have SEC caliber players from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And we knew that when we got here, and we had played South Carolina when I was at App, and we were very competitive with them. And it was just, when we got in the conference, I remember Coach Woods, our very first staff meeting, it was late at night, and we'd been through the dorms trying to get to know some of the players. And that first staff meeting, he said, "I really wish I was the next head coach here," because we knew it was getting ready. It was going to be a tough go of it. And we had some really good players. Corey Miller, and Todd Ellis, guys like that, and Harold Green, outstanding players. We just didn't have from top to bottom what we needed. And we started recruiting better as we got into it. And then they made change, and then Coach Scott came in, and we won the very first bowl game in South Carolina history.
Yeah.
But still, we didn't have, SEC talent from top to bottom. And when I got back the second time, we had guys that could really play in this league. And defensively, we went out and got us some better ones too.
Yeah.
I remember when I got here, I made the statement. I said, "We've got to change the DNA of our defense right now." And we did. I remember Cliff Matthews was one of the first big gets.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Travian Robertson in that class, and of course Melvin, and so it was really a good time to be here and for recruiting, because there was such a huge amount of talent. I'm talking about NFL talent in the state, and we got them all.
Yeah.
Basically, we missed on one every now and then, but it's when we went head to head with Clemson in recruiting in state. I don't know if we ever missed one.
Yeah.
And we got them all. And
because that was when Holloman flipped and a couple other guys flipped, and from there, it was like you said, just everybody was coming to South Carolina.
Yeah. And Marcus, and of course, like I say, the Greenwood guys, Kelsey and DJ, and or Jungle Boy, as your shirt says right there. And
Jungle Boy.
But Alshon Jeffrey, Devin Taylor, and we had done a really good job of evaluating talent. And so we didn't make very many mistakes in recruiting. and the guys that we targeted that we wanted to get, we got them. And that wasn't always the case here at South Carolina. And so the second stint, again, I enjoyed more because we had more success. And I got a chance to work for Coach Spurrier, who is outstanding. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him.
Let you do your job. I'm sure he wasn't much of a defensive guy.
He just wanted to make sure that he got a chance to call enough plays. And he liked getting that ball back. Right. In fact, the other day, and this flashed in my mind, I saw Presbyterian just hired a coach, and it said, who's never punts.
Yeah, I actually saw, funny enough, you say that on Twitter, that a guy I know, he had an interview with him, and it was the coach that never punts. He
never punts. And the first thing that went through my mind was, oh my gosh, Coach Spurrier's gotten back and coach college football.
Yeah. Because,
I remember some games, if we couldn't stop them effectively early, they just go for it on fourth down all the time. that was his demeanor.
Who can forget 2014 Auburn? I know you weren't there, but that was just, I think we went 6 for 8 on fourth down, just whatever. They're going to score at will. We got to score too. So,
well, I remember down at LSU, we got the ball. I think it was inside our own 30-yard line, and we went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. And then immediately we were in the red zone on defense without punting. So, he's something, but he's a great coach.
Now, I feel like, Coach, the conversation with you always shifts back to recruiting because you were such an elite recruiter. And I talked to somebody else about this. One of my good buddies, actually, and of course, I won't say his name, but he works for Georgia football right now. We were talking recruiting. I've talked with others this as well, that, you talk about how South Carolina was able to dominate in state when you were there. And I think they actually did a really, really good job under Coach Muschamp in state too. But he talked about, in recruiting, there's this, the narrative is, oh, you want to win the state. You want to put up barriers around the state, whatever. But he talks about, it's really not even about that. It's about, you want to go get the 25 best available football players. Exactly. Like in today's recruit, when you guys recruit, was the focus, really on winning the state, or did it just so happen the best players were in the state of South Carolina at that time?
There were two factors. One is definitely the best players were in this area, but we tried to take a 5-hour radius.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the recruiting pipeline?
A 5-hour radius around Columbia. Yeah. And branch out. Of course, when you go east, you're onto the Atlantic Ocean and the ball players down there. But we took that radius, which included Atlanta, included North Carolina, and we went in those areas. Like, I think the first or second year I got back here, we signed, I think, 6 or 7 kids out of North Carolina that year. And they were, some really good ball players. Yeah. Some guys that played in the NFL, and just we had everything just came together. Yeah. Recruiting wise, coaching wise, we have a fantastic staff. I look back at it, and I know defensively, we had some guys that that knew what was going on, understood the recruiting aspect, understood defensive football, and then whenever some guys left, Coach Spurrier did a great job of replacing them with guys that were also good. And so, and I'll use Ellis Johnson as an example. To go out and get, Ellis, that's a steal.
Where was he at before South Carolina?
He was at Arkansas for about a month.
Right.
In fact, he went to Arkansas. We hired Brian Van Gorder.
This was that situation.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
Hired Brian Van Gorder, and he was here about a week or so.
Yeah.
And Coach Spurrier turned right around and he hired Ellis. He had considered Ellis the first time.
Right.
And so that's when all that happened. And so Ellis came in, and he and I had coached together at Appalachian State. And so we were very familiar with each other. And it worked out really good.
Yeah, and again, you talked about the recruiting side on the defensive line. You talked about that first stint. You didn't have the SEC ball players, and it's funny because, the way defenses play, the whole game's changed. But, your first stint at Carolina, you're probably thinking of defensive linemen, just big, bulky guys, stop the run, whatever. Then as offenses started to spread out, defenses had to spread out, and you had to get more guys like Clowney that were big, but also really fast and really agile. When do you think the shift happened? Because, again, you coached from – literally your App State days and starting at Carolina in '89 until 2019, the game changed so much. Around when do you think it was when like the offenses started to change, which forced you guys to
I think
make a
that
shift?
Coach Spurrier did a lot of that at Florida. You know, his knowledge of the passing game was so far ahead of a lot of people. He forced people, you know, if you're going to compete with Florida, you've got to be able to stop the passing game.
Right.
And that's when it really started changing. And that I saw was, you know, his knowledge of the passing game. I mean, if he knows where that safety is going to be, if it's going to be a single high or two high safety, I mean, he can eat you up now.
Right.
And
kind of like if you know where the center's going.
Exactly. for pass rush. And no doubt. That's my Sunday chore every week during the season. But when he was at Florida, I mean, he was rolling up some big numbers. And I thought that's when it really started changing. And if you can't defend the pass, you know, back then, I mean, you were going to get run out of the dang stadium. Yeah. And he did an outstanding job. But so probably in the 90s is when I really saw it, you know, starting to change. And then all of a sudden here comes, you know, not just a spread, but, you know, the zone read. When that quarterback became a runner also, that even added another cog to what the offenses are doing. So now, I mean, you really had to up your speed and athleticism on defense if you were going to compete.
Even Coach Spurrier evolved with it, you know, the first one I think being Savell Newton, and then you saw the Stephen Garcias, and of course the Connor Shaws that kind of ran, you know, South. It's funny, South kind of just became, everybody thinks of Coach Spurrier, we're going to throw it 50 times. I mean, Carolina we win with running game and defense. I mean, really, that's the best teams in school history. That's how they won games with Lattimore, Shaw, and that defense. I mean,
and again, and he was very fortunate to be able to get some quarterbacks in here that could do both.
Yeah.
And we started recruiting that way. I mean, it's so hard to protect for your quarterback that if you don't have an athletic quarterback, I mean, that can extend plays, I mean, you're behind the eight ball. In a big way as far as moving the football. So we started getting athletic quarterbacks in here. I mean, you look back, I mean, as everybody looks at Dylan Thompson, they say, well, he was, you know, a passer first. No, not really. I mean, he put a hurting on Clemson.
Had that 3rd and 19.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, and that's when also we got into disguising so much on defense. And Coach Spurrier was really big about that because he knew that if he, again, knew where those safeties were, he was going, I mean, chew up a defense. So he made us on defense become very, very aware of, you've got to disguise, because he knew that was really how you could slow him down a little bit, as if you disguised. And so again, we worked on that really hard, and disguising our front, stemming around. So it's, again, I credit Coach Spurrier with a lot.
Now, I was going to say that had to be a really fun dynamic in regards to you're showing up to practice every day, coaching against the best. I mean, it's competition between everybody, coaches too.
Right.
And, you know, you obviously know, we talked, I think last time, Coach Spurrier would be very quick to get on you if you're not, because I think I heard one of the most interesting things. I don't know if they were talking about Kirby Smart or something else, whatever it was, but it was talking about coaches, head coaches don't just coach players, they coach coaches.
Yes.
And I'd never thought of it or heard it that way, but I guess that's a real dynamic as far as like the coaches are also coaching their other coaches on like how they should be doing things.
Well, we had a big sign in our defensive meeting room here at South Carolina that had a list of all the things that we needed to do on defense when we were game planning. And it was Coach Spurrier's philosophy. And he set out that one year after the Redskins. And I think he wrote down everything that causes him problems.
Yeah.
And that was everything on that sign. I mean, it was right there in our defensive meeting room, and it had, I mean, every situation, his philosophy of how he thought that, you know, you could do things to hurt him on offense, when in return, he wanted us to do that on defense.
Right.
I mean, so it was detailed.
Yeah.
And he'd come in there I mean, he wouldn't say much. He'd come in our defense meeting room every night and he'd say, that's look at number 6 up there. Look at number 6, you know, and I mean, that's all he had to do.
Yeah.
And we knew that, I mean, what he meant.
Yeah. Now, back to the recruiting side of things, coaches, I'm curious. Do you like the star system? I mean, because I know they say that coaches don't pay attention to it, but it's, recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and it's hard to ignore it, I guess. But I mean, when you were recruiting, did you care? Did you like, because, fans especially get so caught up in it, like, hey, DJ Swearinger, he was a 3-star, or, Dylan was a 2, Connor Shaw was a 3. And I mean, the best players in school history, a lot of them were 3-stars. Then, of course, you got the guys like Clowney's who 5-star, best recruit ever. I mean, do you like the star system? Because I know you recruited before that even existed. I mean, do you like it? Did you even care? Like, do any coaches go into recruiting and look at those ratings and put any stock into it?
Not really.
Yeah. I didn't think so. I mean,
I didn't want somebody else making decisions for me.
Right.
As far as an evaluation, because most people don't know what they need to be looking for.
Right.
They just, they get talking. And the thing I didn't like about the star system was that when our people would start rating kids, if it wasn't a high enough rating, it hurt us in recruiting.
Yeah.
Because the kids say, y'all's people don't think I'm very good.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought it was a huge negative. But I understand. I mean, the star system. I mean, people get into it.
Business is literally created out of it. I mean,
it is.
The sites literally they operate off of that. That's literally that business model, I guess you could say.
I mean, I was speaking at a Gamecock Club meeting in Augusta one year, and I made a statement. I said, I hope none of you people, really pay attention to this stuff, this star stuff. And there was a wife out there, and she started punching her husband in the ribs, and I could tell she was like, I told you.
Yeah.
This bunch of names.
Yeah. I mean, it's with all due respect to what the guys do, but like I said, I mean, if you look at the star ratings, like I said, DJ Swearinger was a 3, and he turns out to be, arguably the greatest, most decorated defensive back ever come through. So
I'm going to give you the best example. There was a guy, and I'm not even going to say his name, but out of Chesterfield, that was rated the number 1 linebacker in the entire country. We didn't think he was very good. Clemson didn't think he was very good. Well, he signed Michigan. Because Michigan said, we're going to go get us a 5-star linebacker out of South Carolina. Well, he goes to Michigan. First time he got homesick, they were like, yeah, you probably need to go back home. Because they hadn't practiced, and they realized what had happened. Well, he comes back. Well, now we've got to recruit him again, because our fans are like, Clemson's got to recruit him.
Because you can't come out and say,
no. Well, Clemson did a worse job recruiting him the second time than we did. So we end up with him. And all he ever did was he played a little bit on the scout team.
Right.
I think he ended up transferring to Benedict. I don't even know if he ever played there either.
Right.
I mean, but
how does that happen? I mean, how can the ratings be that off? I mean, it's just people that just don't know what they're talking about, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, people, what they do, they look at a guy, they look at his body.
Right.
They say, well, he's got to be a great player.
Right.
But that's not true.
Right.
I mean, it's, there's a lot of things that I do whenever I evaluate. Like I have them squat down like a catcher.
Yeah.
And keep their heels on the ground. If they can't keep their heels on the ground, they can't change direction.
Right. You
cannot change that.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
And I look at muscle bellies, like in their biceps and in their thighs. If they don't have what I call a muscle belly, like a little mountain right here, in their thighs and arms, they can't get strong.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to change it. Doesn't mean they're going to be a bad player, but they're never going to get strong. I had one of the best players I ever coached at Michigan State. He used to be so upset because his numbers in the weight room were not very good. And I told him, I said, Josh, you're never going to be strong. So you're a heck of a player. You played 4 or 5 years in the NFL.
Right.
I said, you're a heck of a player because you got all the other stuff, and he had all the intangibles too.
Yeah.
But and that's the other thing too. That you got to know the demeanor.
I know you talked about last time. I think it was Devin Taylor. You punched him or whatever. And
well, I mean, what we did, Sylvia's mom brought him down to camp.
Yeah.
And Devin was so mild talking, so meek, quiet. Yeah. And which was not how he played football.
Yeah.
But I really worried about that.
Yeah.
And so his mom brought him down to camp in summer. I said, all right, Devin, I'm gonna be the offensive lineman. I said, I'm gonna start the drill. I'm just gonna give you a little, come punch you right here. And I said, I want you to give me your best pass rush move. Well, I hauled off and hit him with my fist as hard as I could in his chest. And when I did, I mean, his eyes went red. I mean, and he excuse me about whipping my ass out there on the football field. And that's why I went over to Sylvia, his mom. I said, Sylvia, he's got scholarship.
Yeah.
We want him.
Yeah.
That's all I need to see was that right there.
Yeah. You got to have guys with that edge, man. Like DJ Swearing. I had, was fortunate after our conversation in September, had him on the show. And obviously, it speaks for itself. But when he's telling stories about, he's telling Dabo Sweeney and recruiting, I'm going to go to Carolina. I'm never going to lose to you. Like that. That's the type of edge the stars don't tell you that.
And I know the hit he had against Clemson.
Yeah.
I don't know who was the guy, the running back.
Ellington. Okay. Andre Ellington.
Yeah, Ellington's brother, whatever.
Yeah.
But when he hit him and he gave the
flip
right
here.
Yeah, the strong
right
man.
Yeah.
That right there, that picture.
Yeah.
I wish I had that picture.
We'll get it taken care. We'll get it for you.
I'd love to have
that.
We'll
get it for you.
But when he did, again, I was responsible for DJ because I recruited him.
Yeah.
So I started on the field because I know he's getting ready to get penalties out the yazoo.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I started on the field and Coach Spurrier just grabbed him by the shoulder and said, "It's okay. It's okay."
Let him do his thing.
Yeah, that was
so it makes him great. Yeah. He's still doing it in the league now. It's that edge is what makes Two Spoons, Jungle Boy Swag, the players. Obviously, again, Coach, we got you in here. Things are a lot different now than the last time we spoke. And there's a new head man in Columbia, Shane Beamer, obviously somebody you know very, very well. So first, when you were in Columbia, your time there, because you were there during his whole tenure in Columbia. He was there, 07 to 10, and left to go be on his dad's staff at Virginia Tech. I'll ask you first, did you ever have run-ins with Frank Beamer? Did you ever know him at all, or did you go against him or anything? Or, what was your takeaways from Frank?
The first time we ever coached, or I ever coached against Frank Beamer, was it might have been 89, and it was at Virginia Tech when we about missed the game because we didn't know they don't do police escorts in Virginia. And so we're staying near Roanoke, whatever, and the guy, he just turned the siren on and he just went regular speed the whole way up the road. Well, we were late.
Yeah. So
we get dressed real quick and Frank Beamer, we beat them. In fact, they were ahead about 3 touchdowns going in the fourth quarter. Mike Dingle.
Oh yeah.
Had a great game. He came out, in the second half, he put on a show and we beat them.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of speculation after that game that Frank Beamer, this might be his last season. And we had kind of put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. At Vautech.
Yes.
In 89.
I think it was 89. Yeah. It probably was.
That sounds about right. I think so. Yeah.
And so that was the first time. And then we played Virginia Tech a lot.
Hmm.
Back then, because we were an independent.
Right.
They were an independent also. And so we've got to play, but his teams were always so well coached.
Yeah.
And he was responsible for all his special teams. And they were so well coached.
Yeah.
In fact, I got a neat story. When we played them here, we ended up tying that night.
Mm.
They didn't have overtime back in. I think it was 17-17, but we recovered a fumble on their 1 yard line.
Mm.
In fact, Tim High, rest in peace, but Tim High recovered the fumble and he came out of the pile with it in his hands and went sprinting to the dang sideline to show all the fans, who recovered the fumble. Well, the officials go in there, they can't find the ball. And the rule is if you can't find the ball, it goes back to the offense.
Mm.
Well, we would have had the ball 1st and goal on the 1 yard line, and the game ended up in a tie. Instead, Virginia Tech got the ball back and ended up punting out of there. And the game ended up 17-7. I think 17-17. But that taught me something that I never covered with players. So from then on, one of the first things I cover about fumble recovery or interception, you give the ball to the official. Don't give it to one of your teammates.
I didn't even know that. So yeah.
Give the ball, always give the ball, find the official and give him the ball. Don't just throw it up.
Yeah.
Don't go running off with it.
Yeah.
Just give it to the official. And that's ended up a tie ball game with the Hokies that night.
Unless you're DJ Swearinger, then you throw it in the stands after a pick six.
Well, that's what Kenny McKinley did.
And Kenny, he threw his ball away. I think what Spurrier said, we were going to give him a game ball, but he threw it in the stands.
Oh, he told me this is what happened in the locker room after the game. He was giving out game balls. He was giving this guy, and he said, Kenny, he said, you get a game ball too. He said, if you can go out there and find it up in the stands, you can have it.
Oh my gosh.
That's, just.
I remember him saying that too. God, that's classic Coach Spurrier.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, of course, again, now, like I said, his son's the head coach, and you got to meet him. He gets there in 2007, and the whole Beamer ball thing, of course. But he's just a young dude coming to Columbia, and it's funny. Mike Gillespie, good buddy of mine that works for ABC Columbia, he posted the clip, and I reposted it of the introductory press conference of when Coach Spurrier introduced Shane Beamer, and of course, and he was talking recruiting, and obviously Shane had a big hand in recruiting, so I'm sure y'all worked together very closely. I'd just love to hear again your perspective on getting to know Coach Beamer as a coach, and again, he was such a young dude at that point, but coming from the lineage of coaching with his dad and what he did at Vatech. What were your experiences like with Coach Beamer in coaching on field, off field, recruiting, just everything?
Well, the main thing that Shane did that I thought he did really good. He knew he didn't have all the answers. A lot of times you get some young guys when they come in, they don't want to listen. He was like a sponge. I mean, he would ask questions. He was wanting to know everything he could and learn. And he recognized there were some good coaches in that room. And so, I mean, he was always asking questions in recruiting, defensive ball, I mean, the whole 9 yards. And I thought he did an outstanding job when he was, a young coach when he was here. And then he invited me to practice about a couple weeks. About a week and a half left of spring ball. And I went over there and watched him one day practice, and he runs a good practice. I mean, it's fast paced. It's a lot of energy, and he runs good practice. And as they get more talent, and they got some talent up there. I mean, I was impressed with some of their defensive linemen, and as they continue that going, getting more talent, then they're going to be fine. Yeah, they're going to be fine. It's just going to take a little while.
Sure.
The thing that's, I mean, what they're doing up the road. I mean, it took a while for them to get that going like that. Right. And I mean, that's tough to overcome right now. Yeah. But they will, because there's enough kids in this area that want to come to South Carolina. There's enough guys that are going to want to be coached by the coaches there. That Shane's brought in, and Shane again, he's got an unbelievable personality, and it's infectious. So I really think that he's a heck of a hire for the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, for sure. And again, he gets the job as the head coach. I thought the coaching search was really interesting. Just the impact the Letterman had, in the sense of, I feel like everybody knew South Carolina needed to go a different direction and think outside the box, because the typical names came up, the Hugh Freezes and the Billy Napiers. And with all due respect to those guys, I mean, I'm so glad we didn't go that direction, especially like the Freeze thing, because that's who I think South Carolina, everybody was expecting them, at least the national guys, to go higher. And I feel like, you heard this so much from the alumni and guys I was fortunate enough to talk to, and everybody, of course, that played for him. They all wanted Shane to get the job, because it's like, we can either go with this, kind of cookie cutter hire who everybody expects, but South Carolina is a unique place. It's a unique job. The culture's unique. There's a challenge to it, of course. It's, let's call it for what it is. It's not the easiest job in the world, but you need somebody who understands what it is, what it can be, wants to take on that challenge. And who better than a guy, Shane Beamer, who literally went to Atlanta in 2010 with you guys, has seen Carolina football at its heights, and he knows what it can be. And I think that was, of course, again, talking to alumni and talking, I'm sure, to yourself, that was really important. I'm really glad as a fan, South Carolina took a different approach, because again, it's one of those things, with all due respect to everybody else in the past, the Gamecocks, we've recycled the Florida alums and the Georgia alums, and I'm so happy to see a Gamecock really, get his shot, and like you said, you hate to reference up the road, but rolling the dice works out. Every now and then it does. So why not take the chance of one of your own?
I'll give you an example here. Michigan State had a young secondary coach named Nick Saban years and years ago. And he went and did his NFL thing, and with Belichick at Cleveland. And he had been a head coach one time for 1 year. That was at Toledo. And Michigan State really, took a chance. They hired a guy that been around New Michigan State football, and then the rest is history. I mean, you're talking about probably the most outstanding, defensive mind in football history. And so, and then they did the same thing with Mark D'Antonio, who's a South Carolina graduate. And so you got to give a guy a chance sometime. I mean, these coaches don't just grow on trees. They got to, they got to get
start somewhere.
Yeah. And that's, I think Shane, again, you always hear patience, but people got to understand. I mean, there's some work to be done.
He even had to have patience with Coach Spurrier. I mean, he had to build it. He had to get the guys, I mean, that's the biggest thing I wanted to ask you, of course, but everybody asked me, what are you looking for in year one? If you want to talk about the schedule and talk about record and, certainly you want to win games because, as you win games, you build momentum and, as a coach, it shows the kids, hey, what we're telling you, what we're teaching you, it works. We're not just blowing smoke up your ass, for lack of a better way of putting it. So you want to win games because it's like, what comes first, success or confidence, right? But I think for this year, what I keep telling people is, I think getting to 6-6, getting to a bowl game is realistic with having the non-conference schedule back. And you look at the schedule, like you said, there is talent on the roster. I mean, you really feel like there are some good players on that roster. But more importantly for me, I just want to see a well-coached football team, disciplined, excited to play, encouraging each other, plays the game the right way, approaches each game the right way. That's what I'm more so focused on because I'm sure you'd agree. Once you have the right coaches in place and you're building the culture, obviously you're going to be laying the groundwork, laying the foundation this year. I mean, you're already doing that right now, but you're laying the foundation. Once you have that in place, it's like, okay, now let's go get some big time ball players. Because with all due respect, everybody on the roster, like you got to have the Jimmies and Joes. I mean, I tell people, Nick Saban's a great coach for sure, not taking anything away, but I watch Alabama and I'm like, dude, they just have better players than everybody else. I mean, all their players are NFL guys. Like, how are you going to beat them? You know what I mean? So you got to have those players. But that for me, and I'd love to get your insight on in this first year. I just want to see a well-coached team and a team excited to play and is proud to wear that Carolina on their jersey. And, I think that's something maybe that was maybe missing a little bit from the last couple of years. DJ, when I had him on the show, he's talking about somewhere that the standard got lost. The culture got lost a little bit. I mean, it's former players were seeing it too. And so that's what I'm more so looking for in year one. You want to win games, but establishing that, kind of getting that back, in this first year.
And we had developed that culture. I mean, with our players and because we on that practice field every day, it was no nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, there were certain standards as far as effort and toughness that you had to live up to. And if you didn't, you it was going to be a tough life for you. I mean, I just remember making kids just run to the football, and I remember some of them didn't buy into it, and I said, you're not going to play here. I remember Stanley Doty. I mean, very first game we opened up with Mississippi State on Thursday night down there. And I kept telling him all camp, I said, if you don't start practicing hard, I said, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
And he thought that was, wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
And he played one snap against Mississippi State and we shut him out. He came up to me after the game. He said, what was that about? I said, I told you, if you're not going to practice hard, you're not going to play for us.
Yeah.
And Nathan Pepper came up to me after the game. He said, Coach, he said, thanks. He said, we needed that for these kids, these players, our teammates to see that you do have to work hard. If you don't work hard, you're not going to play here.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's about making that standard. I always heard from day one, you get what you demand.
Yeah.
And if you don't demand a lot from them, then don't expect a lot from them.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And I was very fortunate to be around a bunch of coaches then that were here in Carolina that we all had the same standard.
Yeah.
And we all understood that. And like I say, being under Coach Spurrier, he was a guy that, I mean, it was his deal too.
Yeah.
If you weren't going to play hard, I mean, you weren't going to play.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Coach, I know we're looking forward to the season. We actually have a special guest now. I want to go ahead and get in here. The real MVP, the partner in crime of the Lawings, Laura Lawing, Coach's wife, obviously, real MVP. We'll get her behind the mic, Coach, if you want to switch places. I want to ask her a couple of questions. Like I said, it's the first time ever for the show. So very excited to get here. Like I said, y'all go ahead, y'all switch. We'll go ahead and do this. We're going to make this part of the interview, Coach. So like I said, I know that the listeners right now are very surprised, on the edge of their seat. Again, of course, always a legendary conversation with Coach Lawing, but Laura Lawing and Miss Lawing, like I said, the second half, we've all heard about like Jeri Spurrier and everything and how important coaches' wives are, but I'd love to hear again so when did you guys get, how long have you been together? When did you get married? Well, So you've been through the entire coaching, from the beginning,
Yes.
from the day one. And of course, like I said, it's great to have you on, by the way, great to chat with you. But
Thank you.
being a coach's wife, I'm sure That's got to be pretty interesting. A lot of long hours, all of the traveling and the recruiting and, always going. We hear the stories of coaches at the facility till midnight, sleeping at the facility. Like, what was it like, what's it been like, I guess, being a coach's wife and being sort of that support system? Because they need you, obviously. It gets tough. You don't win every game. You obviously need somebody there for you during the ups and the downs. But I guess overall, just what was it like being a coach's wife and being on the journey, if you will?
Well, for me, it was very exciting. I loved it, but I knew from the very beginning, in fact, when Brad asked me to marry him, he said, I do want you to understand what it's going to be like to be married to a coach. You have to be very independent.
Right.
You have to be able to do things on your own and be very supportive and try to be into the career as much as you can. And I enjoyed like all of it. Now there's some negatives. Like I say, you have to get used to your husband not being home very much, very long hours. And then with recruiting being gone on the weekends. But that's just part of it. So you have to realize that as you go along.
Now, Coach obviously had a ton of stops. We won't hold it against you if you don't say Columbia, but is there one that was like your favorite stop along the journey?
No. And, I get that question all the time. People will say, what was your favorite place? We were never anywhere that I didn't like, but there were different things about every school and every town that I liked that was different. One place, it was the staff that was more exciting to be around. One place, it was the town. One times it was the school. So I really cannot say there's one particular place that I like the best. I liked all of them. But I guess I associate most of our coaching career was here at South Carolina.
With 2 stints, for sure.
2 stints and long stints. Our children were basically raised here. So they consider Columbia their home.
I was going to ask you, what would you say were your favorite things about Columbia specifically? Because I know obviously the second time around with, I feel like I remember maybe it was 2011 or 12, but it was they were breaking down practice, some behind the scenes thing. And it was Coach Spurrier talking about how close all the coaches were and the coaches' wives and the kids of the coach. Everybody it was a real tight knit family with the coaching staff. But favorite things from those 2 stints in Columbia that really stand out to you?
And that's really true. The staff that we had under Coach Spurrier here was just amazing. We all got along wonderful together. The wives got along great together. We just had a lot of fun. And we had, of course, probably the best head coach's wife here to guide us and to make it that way. And Jeri Spurrier always did. She just knew what to do to keep a unit for everybody. And we were able to go to all the ball games, which was such a treat. Never had I been anywhere where the head coach allowed all of the wives to go to any game that they wanted to go to. So we would fly with the team, and that was very exciting for us here. That was probably one of the things I liked the best here, is really being more of a part of it. And like I say, working with Jeri Spurrier, I just can't say enough wonderful things about her. She was absolutely great.
I was gonna say on that note in closing, Laura, because I'm not going to keep you too long, but Jeri Spurrier, we all hear is Coach Spurrier calls her the best coach's wife in college football, and we joked off air to put up with him every day. I feel like you have to. She's probably got just as sharp a wit, or probably more than he does, I'd imagine. But what do you think made her? Because I heard too from players like how she'd bring cookies for them and like was treating them like her kids basically. I'm sure you feel the same way. Like you almost feels like it's an extension of your family. They're almost like your kids. You get to know them so well.
It is. Yeah. Football was her life. And she made the students the players and the parents of those players always feel at home and appreciated by everyone. So anyway, she was terrific. And we were talking about of having Shane Beamer. His wife, Emily, was here, of course, when we were here. And she was just out. That was their first trip away from where she was from, because she met him in Starkville,
Right.
So when she came here, I think it was different for her. She was a long ways away from her family and where she had grown up. And so I think we sort of bonded in. I was one of the older coaches' wives on the staff. So she wanted to know all about what it was like to be a coach's wife. And she is the sweetest, most wonderful person. So I think that Emily will make a wonderful head coach's wife.
Yeah. Well, good to know Shane's Coach Beamer's got a good through system there.
He does.
Emily Beamer.
He really does. Yeah. She's super. So.
Yeah. In case anybody was curious or wondering, good to know Coach Beamer through the ups, through the downs.
She'll support him.
We've got his back, but she's going to be there for him every step of the way. That's
great.
The good news.
And she really, she's been married to football too the whole time. So she understands it now.
Yeah, you love to hear it. Well, for sure. Well, Laura, Brad, this has been a pleasure. Obviously, again, for the listeners, this has been a unique, different type of show, but I appreciate you taking the time, joining Coach Long. Obviously, Coach, it's always great to chat with you. But again, for the Longings, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on an episode of the Spurs Up Show.